I'm descended from Ebenezer and Jeannie Vickery, who built this house in 1884. They were my great-great-grandparents. She was Scottish, came from just outside Edinburgh. He came from London, but ultimately his family's from Bristol. I've had a close connection with the site in over probably 20, 30 years. I was chairman of a diner aged care, which is in the lower part of the grounds. But as well as Ebenezer and Jeannie being here, there are 3 other houses on the estate, including the house that was Ebenezer and Jeannie's eldest child, their daughter, Janie, and their house is Ellerslie, which is up the other side there. So my grandfather was born on the estate. And I've become familiar with the estate over the years, and it's a very interesting place. I've got to know the place very well. The book is really based on a large number of photographs that were taken by the family, and this is in times before there were box brownie cameras and the like. So most people did not have cameras. We're talking 1880s, 1890s in particular. And through the family, I've come across probably about 100, 120 photographs taken of all the children who are living on the estate. There were, at any given time, there were probably 10, 15 children, but over the period of 20, 25 years, there were about 25 children living here. They were everywhere. And I got all these photographs also showing that there was a farm here and everything that used to go on here. So I went to the church, to Uniting a few years ago, and said, look, I'm happy to write the book if you're happy to pay for it and have it published. And they agreed. They thought it was a good idea. They're obviously committed to heritage, so I was happy to do the research. And it was an opportunity to dig deeper into my understanding of the place. And it's been extremely interesting because I've uncovered a lot of things that not even the family knew about, such as this fireplace here, which is the Waverley novels fireplace, because the 4 of the Waverley novels written by Sir Walter Scott in the 1819 to 1830, thereabouts. Basically those novels, several of them are set in Scotland or have Scottish connections. Jeannie was from Scotland, from Musselburgh, just outside Edinburgh, so there's a Scottish connection. But of course, the site is in Waverley, so whether this is a deliberate play on words or what, I don't know. But certainly it is interesting to understand a little bit more of the story and the Scottish connection. The church were considering building a war memorial hospital, in part to meet the needs of returning wounded veterans from the First World War, from the Western Front. So they knew there was a need that the church had. The family, if you like, had a need to decide to do something about the building because it was going to just be sold off otherwise. That was the other option. Now, the family had a long tradition of being benefactors. They were actually the church's biggest benefactor for many, many years. They bought the Lyceum Theatre in the city and associated buildings and gave it to the church, and today it's the Wesley Centre. So this was just one more step in that particular process. So they decided to make an offer. It was subject to various conditions. The whole estate is 8 acres. And they were giving basically the house and about 5 acres. Then they asked for a payment of £7,500 for the remaining 3 or so acres. That was eventually agreed to. And the building has been named after Ebenezer Jr., not Senior, in memory of him. But it met a need for the community. It met a need for the family and for the church. So and it was a highly worthwhile cause from their point of view. So they were happy to do this. The building was owned by Nellie Vickery, who was the widow of Ebenezer Vickery Jr. And she moved in here with him in 1907. He died in 1915, leaving her in a very big house with several children, but these children were gradually leaving home Frank Vickery was became the patriarch, if you like. He was the eldest son, became the patriarch of the family. He's very well connected with the church because of the long connection between the Vickery family and the church. And so he talked to them, and they worked out that the church needed or wanting to build a hospital, a war memorial hospital, to meet the needs particularly of returning veterans from the First World War. And so this was an opportunity for the family to continue their being benefactors on the one hand, at the same time meet as a very specific church need on the other. So it was a win-win from their point of view. The Uniting clearly is very committed to doing something constructive and positive about preserving the heritage. So really, and the heritage is really important to the family. Not just me, I'm only one branch of the family, but I know descendants of the other two major branches that were here. And everybody regards this as a really important part of their history, if you like, their family's history. It's important to them. So therefore, what's going to be happening is the development of services which are beneficial for the community, but as well the preservation and even enhancement of some aspects of the heritage on the site. So I do think it's an excellent balance that's going to be achieved. Exactly where the lines get drawn and all of that remains to be seen. But nevertheless, conceptually, it's very positive. So really, it is now a question of a holistic development of the site, looking at the community's needs for aged care services, a whole variety of aged care services, both residential and non-residential. And I believe this is very much consistent with what the family would have wanted when they gave it to the church. It was given to the church for a reason.